Nigeria don't enter one chance, I swear, now go with the go so. Yes, men, they kill us every day, but them busy, they campaign again. After they failed all the promises they made, oh, them they praise themselves. Why the masses were supposed to give them the praises we they here they run to? Move it up. I blame it on the religious leaders. I blame it on the traditional rulers. People were supposed to fight for the people, they don't compromise. Shame on the rebellious brothers. People will cry with us to ring answers. Today them don't join those oppressors, they eat jello. Something on the smell of. Very soon now we go perceive. We have up where this government they cause my time bomb. It go soon explode. Revolution they come more. It is very close and they feel more. When the power of the people we triumph, the power of the people in power. They no even care, they no even send. Say the people they die of hunger. Hungry dog is an angry dog. One day you go bite the owner. Idle man is the devil workshop. Many youths for Nigeria no good job. And the country the youths got no future. The country is gone, that's on period. Move it up. I blame it on the judiciary leaders. I blame it on the electoral officials. People were supposed to save the nation, but they collect it bribe. Shame on the armed forces. People were supposed to protect the masses. But now them they shoot us anytime they hear our voice.
Kiwe wesu garani orianya nine oria nine nke pụrịta kwasa mmadụ dị ndụ n'ihi na ọ bụ naanị gị bụ onye na-agwọ ọrịa anyị wee na-akpọkụ gị onwe gị bụ sumele nke ndị agha ka igwe mere anyị ebere ka akwa nke anyị na-ebe ka ude nke anyị na-asụ wee bịa n'iru gị ka iwe mee ka Biafra wee guzosi ike ka anyị wee n'ikpete mazụ nye ha sọgotụtara nsọpụrụ na ịja mma site n'ebighị ebi ma ruo n'ebighị ebi ise mma mmadụ dịrị gị Chineke.
Are you still fighting the struggle to have independence for Biafra?
We are fighting for independence, not fighting physically with guns and bullets. We are fighting in terms of our agitation. We are fighting in terms of our belief. We're fighting in terms of our consistency to ensure that we are free, because we're not free. As a free people, we can afford to make life better for our people. Right now, we can't do that because of how Nigeria is structured and because of the very flawed foundations upon which Nigeria rests.
You called for a referendum latest this year, November, you said, I think.
Yes.
If that doesn't happen, what's the way forward? Because the way it looks like the government will definitely not agree to that.
Then there'll be no elections in Biafra land. No more elections here. They can put whoever they like in office. They can do whatever they like with their political positions. We will not engage in any political process.
You said it's a peaceful struggle, but
yes.
There are some videos of you appearing in the past, especially abroad, in particular in one conference in the US, where you said you need weapons to defend yourself, you need guns and ammunition. How can we understand that in the context that you're saying it's a peaceful struggle?
I'm sure you've heard about the Fulani headsmen killing people all over the place. Have you heard about it? Exactly. So how do you intend to defend yourself against Fulani headsmen without guns and bullets? They'll be killing our people, raping our women, destroying crops in the farms, and no one does anything about it. Is that how human beings are supposed to live?
So, and you have the right to arm yourself and defend yourself with arms in that context?
Self-defense is recognized even by all the known laws of the UN. Is that not correct? We have the right. If somebody were to barge into this very interview now wielding a machete or an AK-47, are you suggesting we should let them get away with it?
You were detained for almost 2 years, from 2015 on, and actually there was no trial. No trial ever happened, and despite several court rulings that said you were supposed to be released, you were not released. Yes. Do you think you were treated in a fair way by the government? Or rather also by the justice system? No, not fairly, because Nigeria is not a civilized country. People behave like animals. They are not reasonable enough. They're not disciplined enough. They are not mentally developed enough to run a transparent civil society. For them, they have a feudal mindset where you have the ruling class and, a multitude of poverty-stricken people who never utters any word in rebellion or to even ask questions about their plight. That is one thing we are determined to challenge. Don't you think you insult a lot of Nigerians with that? I'm being very kind, to be honest. I could have used far more harsher words to describe them. I'm being very kind. So generally, you don't think very positive of your countrymen then, obviously? They are not... When you say positive, no, as individuals, perhaps there are a few good people amongst them. But as a collective, this is an absolute mess. And you can see for yourself. Didn't you go through the roads and see how horrible they are? Didn't you see how unkempt everywhere is? How filthy and dirty everywhere is? That is the product of a Nigerian system that is uniquely backwards, even by the very third world standards of Black Africa. That's the fact, and people must face up to it. Well, I traveled in the north quite extensively, and I went to very remote areas sometimes where you would still find Igbo people living there, peaceful together with communities in the north. Don't you sometimes think that you might endanger their peaceful coexistence with the communities there, that they might get into trouble with that? So if they're living so peacefully together, or cohabiting so peacefully as you put it, how come you hear about all those uprisings in the north where southern Christians are being slaughtered and nothing gets done about it? Are you telling me that that is normal? People are in the north out of a dire need, necessity more or less, to try and survive. Because here, the entire production process has been emasculated by people and policies that are geared towards ensuring that our people exist in perpetual state of poverty. And that is unacceptable to us. What we're asking the world to recognize is that we want to live in peace, not in pieces. We want to live in peace, just to allow us to be. Allow Biafra to exist. We were existing before the British came. Just allow us to go back to, what we were before. No African came to Europe to create countries. So for somebody to just come in here and say, you, from today your name is Nigeria is simply laughable.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us on this very evening program. I appreciate everyone that has connected to us. Wherever you are connecting from, please like and share the program. Share to your platform, share to family and friends. Invite those who are outside to join us on this our evening program. It's going to be a very quick one. We won't take much of your time, so try as much as possible to join us as early as possible so that we can hit the message running. My fellow Biafrans, I appreciate everyone that have joined us this very evening. Remember, in this platform, we don't come here to instigate violence. We don't come to preach hate. We do not come here to attack people or individuals. All we come here to do is to preach Biafra, to present Biafra to the whole world as the only remedy to the failed state Nigeria. And we will continue to do that. So I urge every one of you who is there to please kindly pay attention, and as you join us, share the program. Don't just watch alone. As you manage to join us, try and allow somebody else to also enjoy the program with you. Invite your family and friends, share in your WhatsApp group, give a thumbs up so that others can go notification and know that we are here to preach the gospel. I welcome everyone that has connected, wherever you are connecting from. And I appreciate every one of you. I thank you for being part of the program. And I say, may Chukwu Kabiam continue to guide and protect every one of us. This evening, we have come once again to speak on the same topic, and we'll continue to elaborate and expand the topic as we go. This is our evening session. If you missed our morning section, maybe you can get some lessons from this very evening one. We conduct it 2 times every day, but as long as we have the strength. But our program in the evening is always not too long, so we are going to make the use of the time we have and do what we have to do. This evening topic says, stop the persecution, the untold war against the Igbos. Stop the persecution, the untold war against the Igbos. The persecution against us, the Igbo people, is so much that you can't afford to pretend about it. We see it in our daily lives. We see the persecution every blessed day. As long as you are still connected to Nigeria, you wake up every day, you see that persecution. It's something you cannot pretend about. So I urge every one of us, wherever you are, to try as much as possible to do your own very best to pay attention to what we are saying and also play your own part. Do not be confused, do not be discouraged, and do not look back. Don't be a hindrance to the success of the coming of the freedom. The freedom of Biafrans is very, very important to us. Biafran is something that we cannot afford to look back on, because it is clear that we are on our own. We are on our own. Nobody's going to fight for you. Nobody's going to fight for me. We need to take up our fight and fight it. And that is what most of us are doing. So this evening we have come, there's a very important news. Before we go fully into discussion, there's a news that is circulating that I just saw, and I wish we have to talk about that. What Mazen Nandikana has filed in the court. You know, we're expecting Mazen Nandikana to be in court tomorrow, but a news is circulating about the motion Mazen Nandikana filed in the court. So we are going to look into that motion and speak about it before we go into our program. Every one of us know that the lawyer of Mazen Nandikano, Aloye Jimako, has been detained after the protest which was made to release Mazen Nandikano. He was abducted in that very protest, and we heard that they took him Kuje. So as we speak, Aloye Jimako is still there in Kuje, and he's going to be there until Friday, as they said. So by Friday, hopefully, we are going to see him on Friday. And but tomorrow is the case of Mazen Nandikano. Adjournment was made to 23. So when I see this song circulating, then let's look at the information that is circulating everywhere that we just saw. We saw the information, and I feel it is important that we look at it. It's very important that we look at this information and be able to deal with it the way it's supposed to be. So on this very information that we saw, I'm going to read it out so that we can be able to digest it and know what it's all about. This is a breaking news that we are seeing everywhere. It's reported here by Sahara reporters. Many news have carried it. It says, Nnamdi Kanu list ex-AGM Malami, Wike, Chukwuputara Buratai others as witnesses in terrorism trial. Mazen Nandekana have called the people that are going to be witness to his case since they want him to stand trial. He has mentioned the people that are supposed to bring in court that he's going to be able to use as witness, and he called their names. So it reads, let's read what the news has. It says, in fresh motion, Mazen Nandekano filed a fresh motion. He personally signed a fresh motion. Mazen Nandekano personally signed and filed before Justice James Omotosho. Kanu describe the individuals as compellable witnesses. These people, Kanu described them as compellable witnesses whose testimonies are crucial to his defense. Mazen Nandekano personally signed and filed before Justice James Omotosho. Kanu described these individuals as culpable witnesses whose testimony are crucial to his defense. That is the motion that Mazen Nandekano filed. You know, his case is coming up tomorrow. So we're going to hear the detail of this by tomorrow, by God's grace. So just file the motion and we're going to see what really transpired. The detained leader of indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, has named former Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, Abubakar Malami, and several prominent Nigerians as witnesses in his ongoing terrorism trial before the Federal High Court in Abuja. In fresh motion, he personally signed and filed before Justice James Omotosho. Kanu described the individuals as compellable witnesses whose testimonies are crucial to his defense. Those listed include the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, former Minister of Defense, General Theophilus Danjuma, retired former Chief of Army Staff, General Tukur Buratai, Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodinma. These are people that Mazen Nandekano mention their name. There's going to be a compellable witnesses. Other names are Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, immediate past Governor of Abia State, Ukezi Bazo, former Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, NIA, Ahmed Rufai Abubakar, former Director General of the Department of State Service, DSS, Yusuf Buchi. Kanu also hinted that he would call several other unnamed witnesses. In the application marked FHC ABJCR 383 2015 and dated October 20th, the file is October 20th, but filed on October 21st. That it was filed on the 21st. This was filed. Kanu requested the court to grant him a 90 days period to enable him to conclude his defense, citing the number and status of witnesses he intends to call. The motion titled Notice of Numbers and Names of Witnesses to be Called by the Defendant and Request for Witness, Summon, Sovereign, and the variation of the time within which to defend the court charges against the defendant. Indicates that Kanu is prepared to begin his defense as ordered by the court. News Agency of Nigeria report that Kanu has informed the Federal High Court of his plan to call 23 witnesses in his ongoing trial for terrorism. 23 witnesses. This is the motion that Mazen Nandekano filed. Very, very important. So we're going to see what's going to happen tomorrow. In a motion filed before the court, Kanu stated that the application was made pursuant to the order of his Honorable Court made on October 16, 2015, directing the defendant to commence his defense on October 24, 2025. He explained that the witnesses would be grouped into two categories. The first comprising ordinary but material witnesses, and the second consisting of vital and compellable witnesses who would be summoned under Section 232 of the Evidence Act 2011. All these people that he calls in them, they will summon them to come for questioning. Kanu requested the court to grant him a 90 days period to complete his defense. Citing the large number of witnesses he intended to call, he also indicated that he would personally testify, offering a sworn account to deny the allegation against him and explain the political context of his actions and statements. The IPOB leader further assured the court that he would provide sworn statement from all voluntary witnesses and notify the persecution in due time, adding that no precious time of the Honorable Court will be wasted. He emphasized that his intention was to ensure that justice is not only done, but also seen to be done. The latest motion followed on an earlier preliminary objection Kanu filed on the Thursday, challenging the court's jurisdiction to continue his trial. That same day, a panel of medical experts appointed by the court submitted a report confirming that he was medically fit to start trial. Meanwhile, in a related development, a magistrate court in Abuja on Thursday ordered the remand of Kanu's special counsel, Aloy Ejimako, and 12 others who were arrested during a protest led by activist Omoyele Sowore against Kanu's continued detention and trial. The police charged the 13 defendants with offenses including criminal conspiracy, disobedience of a lawful order, inciting disturbances, and disturbance of public peace, contrary to Section 152, 114, and 113 of Penal Code law. Those names in the two separate first informations report FIR are Ejimako, Kanu's younger brother, Emmanuel Kanu, Joshua Emmanuel, Wilson Ayalewichi, Okere Nnamdi, Clinton Chimezie, Gabriel Joshua, Isiaka Husseini, Onyekachi Ferdinand, Amadi Prince, Edison Ejison, Godwill Obioma, and Chima Onuchukwu. These are the people that were detained alongside with Aloy Ejimako and the brother of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The magistrate ordered that all defendants be remanded at the Kuje Correctional Center, pending their arraignment on October 24th. You see, they intentionally want to clamp down, hold Aloy Ejimako to distract the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. But I bet you it is not yet over or it is over. So you have seen what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu wrote to the court. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is ready to drag every one of them. They should come to court for testimony. And he called them compellable witnesses. Compellable witnesses. They must appear. Chukrubuta Buratai, Theophilus Danjuma, what is it called? Wike, and many of them that he mentioned, all those politicians, Okezi Bazu, Hope Uzodema, Dave Umahi, all of them, they have to appear in court. Every one of them must appear in court to face Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So that is where we are. So we're going to see what is going to happen tomorrow. In every indication, you see that what they are doing against Marginalization is unheard of. It is because an Igbo man, they rejected him for taking his treatment, and they are pushing him right, left, and center. Then now they arrested his lawyer also and left him on his own to defend himself. And I bet you, those of us Biafrans, we must not keep silent. This is an attack against us, the Igbo people. The continued detention of Marginalization is nothing but an attack against Igbos. The earlier you understand this fact, the better for you. You cannot continue to pretend. You say you will not fight for Biafra. A time will come when you will beg to fight and you won't see anybody to stand with you. This is the time to take this battle to them. This is the time to take this battle to them. So wherever you are, you must wake up, and wake up now. There's nothing to wait. My brothers and sisters, everyone that is watching us from wherever you are watching us from, either from Nigeria, from Africa, Europe, America, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, wherever you are joining us from, I welcome you once again. Today, on this broadcast, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to speak, not just as an individual, but as a nation under oppression, as a people crying for justice, we are speaking. And I bet you, wherever you are, you must add your own voice, and we have to fight this battle and win this battle. My fellow Biafrans, let's speak the truth. For too long, the Igbos have been treated as second-class citizens in Nigeria. In a country their father helped to build. In a country that we built and made it what it is. In a country that we are still building. In a country that we are holding the economy. They term us a second-class citizen. And yet they call us one Nigerian. Our businesses are destroyed under government order. Our youths are arrested and labeled terrorists for demanding freedom, for asking for self-determination. Our towns are invaded under the guise of security operation. Checkpoints everywhere in Biafra land. You see what is happening in Imo State, in Okigwe, in Olo. You see how they are taking the life of innocent people in Biafra land. Our political voices are silenced through intimidation and media blackout. All these atrocities is committed against the Igbo people. This is not democracy. This is selective persecution. The same government that protects armed herdsmen kill peaceful protesters. Where have you seen that before? A government that will stand up and protect armed herdsmen. I just saw a news. What happened in the Kwara State? That the herdsmen shot a military man. A military man off duty. Herdsmen shot that man because he wanted to stop them from entering to the farm. And nothing will be done. All the news will come and tell you, look at what happened, but they cannot stop, they can't confront them. Even the military cannot confront them. The same government that protects armed herdsmen, they take the life of innocent protesters, shooting at them, shooting tear gas. You saw them on Monday. The same country that preaches unity, practice injustice. After the injustice against Biafra, they will come the other way around and they will tell you, oh, we must unite. You must talk about unity. People must unite. How can you unite with people who do not want peace with you? Who are taking the life of the innocent every blessed day? How can Nigerian government have no right to speak about unity? Because there is no template they are putting out for unity. All they are creating is division, 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 and division. The message being sent to every Igbo child is simple. You do not belong. That is the message they sent to us. Every blessed day, our children in their schools, wherever they go, they are being told you do not belong by the actions of people in Nigeria. Every Igbo child knows that they don't belong to Nigeria. And that is the seed of destruction that has been sown by Nigeria itself. The same mindset that led to the 1967 genocide against the Biafra people. Turubu is bringing the same thing. The same thing that Ahmadu Bello did and push hatred that we are domineering. Preach and say that we are domineering. That we are trying to overthrow them. That same lie that they pushed that caused the 1967 war. It is here again. And people are turning their eyes away from it as if it is not true. You cannot wish it away. They destroy our confidence. They isolate our leaders. They mock our faith. They call us agitators simply because we refuse to be slaves. Simply because we refuse to be slaves, they call us agitators. But let the world know this. We are not agitators. We are survivors. The Biafran people are survivors, not agitators. Biafran people are not rebels. We are people fighting for dignity, justice, and equity. That is whom we are. We are not rebels, but they give us different kinds of names, call us everything they like to satisfy their evil deed. The international community cannot continue to pretend not to see what is going on in Nigeria. They cannot continue to pretend. How long will the United Nations continue to pretend? How long will the EU continue to pretend? How long will the African Union itself continue to pretend? All these entities knows what the Biafrans are going through, but yet they prefer to be silent. They prefer to maintain silence. It is sad, the situation we find ourselves. Very, very sad. The United Nations, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, global media outlets must rise and investigate Nigerian crime against the Igbo nation. It must be investigated. The genocide against the Igbos must be. It's not just against, even when you talk about the genocide against Christians, it is genocide against the Igbos. Igbos are 99% Christians. Majority of them are Christians. In all the massacre you are hearing, there's nowhere it happened that you don't hear about Christians, including that corner you are saying. The target is the Igbos. They want to extinct us by all means possible. Nigeria must be investigated for the atrocities it's committed against the Igbo people. If the world could rise for Ukraine, if the world could rise for Sudan, if the world could speak for Palestine, then the world must rise for the Igbo people of Nigeria, the Biafrans. The world must rise for the Igbo people of Nigeria, the Biafrans. If they can be able to rise for Ukraine, they rise for Ukraine, they put their voice everywhere, they supported them. If they could rise for Sudan, supported, and they also rise for Palestine today, with all the bad things that are happening, and they are claiming to recognize, prepared to recognize, then the world must rise for the Biafran people. There's no excuse. No excuse whatsoever. We demand the release of our Supreme Leader Nnamdi Kanu, who is unlawfully detained. Our Supreme Leader Nnamdi Kanu must, it is a must, he must be released. He must be released. We demand an end to military attack in the eastern region. The military have continued to commit genocide in our land, continue to abduct our people and disappear them. They continue to take innocent life in Biafra land, even as we speak, and everybody is silent. We are demanding an end to military attack in the eastern region. Equal political representation and the right to self-determination. Self-determination, which is what we are pursuing today. It is our right. It is not a privilege. It is a right, and we have the right to demand for it. We call on the global media. We call on global media coverage of ongoing human rights abuses. Why is the world media silence? Why is the international media silence on the atrocities committed against the Igbos? There is no way you can report the genocide against the Christians in Nigeria and you ignore what is happening to Biafra people, more especially land. Only a mischievous person will do that. Only mischievous people, because they will sidetrack what is happening in Biafra land and they choose a place where they're going to talk, even though they are talking about the same situation. Silence is complicity. And history will judge every global leader who looked away. Every global leader who looked away while innocent blood cried from the east. History will judge you. History will judge every one of you. The global leaders who look away while innocent blood cry from the east, Biafra land. History will judge you. But let it be known, no amount of intimidation will silence us, the Biafran people. No amount of intimidation will silence us. It doesn't matter what they do. You cannot silence the Igbo Biafrans, more especially, you can't silence them. From Aba to Enugu, from Onitsha to Nsukka, the fire of resistance burns stronger than ever. And it will continue to burn stronger than ever. The Igbo spirit does not bow, it rises. It does not retreat, it rebuilds. We must unite. We must unite. Wherever you are as a Biafran, more especially the Igbo Biafrans, we must unite. Politically, spiritually, and economically, we must unite. We must learn to support our own. Every one of us must learn to support our own first. Put yourself first. We have served every other person for a long time. The Igbo Biafrans have rendered service to every other part of the world, to nations, supporting building nations, supporting building communities. It is time for us to look home. We must unite. We must unite. Politically, spiritually, economically. Support our own. Very important. Support our own. Defend our communities. We must prepare to defend our communities. Nobody's going to do it for us. Nobody anywhere is going to do it for us. Educate our youths. Continue to educate our youth about our history, about our hindrances and obstacles and what needs to be done. Continue to educate them properly. That history they refuse to tell them, we will tell them the history. Every Igbo man and woman must become an ambassador of truth. Very important. So many of us today, because of the situation we find ourselves, it is very difficult for us to tell the truth. Some of us have become liars just simply because they want to score a point. Many of us have made ourselves liars simply because you want to score a point. It's not going to take you to anywhere. The oppressor's greatest weapon is division, whereas greatest strength is unity. Those who are oppressing us, Nigerian government, the Janjaweed, their greatest weapon, which you and I have seen and heard and known, is division. But our greatest strength is unity. Wherever you are, as a Biafra, you must know that this is the time for us to unite. We must come together as one. Enough of all this blackmail propaganda that is coming right, left, and center. It is high time we come together for good. The time has come for us to come together and speak in one voice as one people. There will be no one time better than this time that we find ourselves now. The oppressor's greatest weapon is division. But our greatest strength is unity. We must continue to unite. No matter how difficult it is, we must learn to accept each other and unite for us to overcome the challenges ahead of us. To the international community, you cannot continue to fund and arm a government that turns its weapon on its own citizens. You cannot continue to work with a terrorist country. Finland, enough of working with a terrorist country, criminalizing an innocent citizen, Nigerian an innocent citizen, because of an information coming from a terrorist country. When will you search your conscience, Finland, and let go of the Prime Minister, Mazi Samana? When is Finland going to search their conscience? When? When are they going to search their conscience? Search your conscience. You cannot continue to fund and arm a government that turns its weapon on its own citizens. The Western world are funding Nigeria directly or indirectly against the life of the innocent. Finland is actively working with Nigeria against innocent citizens. Human rights must not depend on tribe or region. You preach so much human rights, but your human rights depends on tribe and region. Human rights is not supposed to depend on tribe or region. Every man, every woman is supposed to have equal rights. We are supposed to have equal rights. Whether you are poor, rich, old, young, you're supposed to have equal rights. To Nigerian leaders, you can jail the body, but you cannot imprison the truth. You can jail Mazen and you can continue to hold him, but the truth inside him, you cannot jail it. The truth inside Mazen Nani is in every Biafra. You can silence a voice, but you cannot stop a movement. You can't stop the movement of Biafra. You cannot. Instead of it to stop it, to gain more momentum as it's getting now. Chuko Kamano had to address all of you. The more you suppress the Igbos, the louder the cry for freedom becomes. Continue. The more you suppress the Igbos, the louder the cry of freedom comes. Because there is nothing that will stop us going out. So I said, continue the operation. Continue your suppression. Continue your suppression. But it's going to last for just for a while. Because we are getting to the end of the road. And you will reap the reward of your evil deed. You are going to reap the reward of your evil deed. Brothers and sisters, the time has come for action, unity, courage. I urge every one of you to share this message to every corner of the world. Share this message to every corner of the world. Don't keep it to yourself. Tag international organizations, tag journalists. Let the truth trend. Let this generation be remembered as the one that said no to oppression and yes to freedom. Wherever you are, I urge you not to be silent. Always speak out and do what you have to do. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Do you believe the world is doing enough to stop oppression of the Igbos, of the Christians in Nigeria? The world must hear our voice. Do you believe that the world is doing enough to stop the killing of innocent people in Nigeria? It is a question. The world must hear your voice. I urge every one of you that have been part of this program to please do not be confused. Do not be distracted. Do not be relegated to the background. There are a lot of confusions out there. There are a lot of distractions out there. Do not get distracted. They are going to try as much as they can to distract you. But I urge you, don't get distracted. Do not allow the enemies to get into your head. Don't allow the enemies to influence you. We have gone too far for us to go back. There is no going back. It is forward ever and backward never. So wherever you are as a Biafran, I urge you in the name of Chukwu Okabia, you must stay strong. You must stay strong. And never you allow the words of the enemies to get you. By the grace of Chukwu Okabia, tomorrow we expect to see Mazen Nande come in the court. So whatever happens, I want every one of us to be ready. I want every one of us to be prepared. Every one of us must be focused. Do not allow the enemies to get at us. Do not allow the enemies to get into our way. I urge every one of us to continue to pay attention to issues that matters. The enemies have come. We will continue to demand the release of our Shula Mazen Nandekano, no matter what they say. We will continue to demand for his release. So wherever you are, I urge you in the name of Chukwu Okabia to stay strong. Don't get distracted. There are so many things that are there to distract you and I, but we must not allow them to distract us. That is why we are whom we are. Our quest is for freedom and nothing else. And we will continue to chase this freedom until we find it. Let's hear this message.
Outrage News. Thank you, Adesola Moran. Well, exactly 5 years after the NSAS protests, security forces in Abuja on Monday clamped down on protesters demanding the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. Arise News chief correspondent Ferdinand Dora was on ground covering the protest.
A few minutes past 7 a.m., and protesters led by activist Omoyele Shure and a legal team of detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, are gathering at Tama Junction. The group had earlier put out notice calling on Nigerians to hit the streets in demand for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Minutes later, security operatives comprising police and military officers stormed the venue, firing shots and tear gas at the protesters. The protesters were grouped around the mega roundabout from where they peacefully marched to Tako. Convener Omoyele Shure calls for a minute silence in honor of those who were killed during the #NSAS protest exactly 5 years ago.
May their souls continue to pursue their oppressors.
He then speaks on the reason for today's gathering.
We are not here as Igbos or Yorubas or Hausas. In fact, if you look around very well, there are a lot of Igbos, there are a lot of Hausas and Yorubas. All united to ensure that our brother is brought back home. That they should end the sham trial that is going on at the Federal High Court.
So what we are saying is that this country, there should be justice for all Nigerians. There should be equal justice. You can see, we are here addressing the press, exercising our rights to freedom of expression, and you can see what the police, what they are doing, the way they are intimidating us as citizens of this country.
While the group was still addressing the media, security operatives again attacked, firing gunshots and tear gas.
The country, do you see me carry arms? Do you see me carry arms? Do you see me carry arms?
Several persons were arrested, including lawyer to Nnamdi Kanu, Aloy Ejimako, Nnamdi Kanu's brother, and some journalists. Some of the protesters speak on the clampdown by the government.
I carry placard of Tinubu under the Nadekus. The rally was organized by Kanefa Yomi, Bekesa Sonkuti, and also Wale Soyonka. And in fashion, the rally, Tinubu did not attend the rally. The before he came, arrest was made under Ganifayo. Gani was holding a toothpick. He said even if Nigeria will die for this country to be good, for military to submit power to democracy, say he will do it. He went to prison for it. Then go went to it. And the Tinubu did not die. Before he came, arrest was done. We all run away. I carry the placard to support the Nadegu for freedom of movement.
Around the Federal Capital Territory, security operatives mounted roadblocks, making it difficult for workers to get to their places of work. Justice Mohammed Umar had the honor of an application by the police, restrained Shore and others from protesting in some sensitive areas in Abuja, including the Aso Rock Villa, National Assembly Complex, Force Headquarters, the Court of Appeal, Eagle Square, and Sheikh Shagari Way. But while the protesters had obeyed the instructions, security operatives clamped down on any gatherings by perceived protesters in the Federal Capital Territory.
Now, 5 years after the NSAS protest, the security operatives on a Monday morning, the 20th of October 2025, intimidated and harassed protesters and journalists coming out for the commemoration of the NSAS protest, and also protesters asking for the release of Nnamdi Kanu from Utako, the Federal Capital Territory. Ferdinand Duroha, Arise News.
Thank you, Ferdinand. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on Friday launched Oniko, a major water transportation initiative aimed at transforming mobility across the state. The project, backed by the French government, the European Union, and private investors, according to Governor Sanwo-Olu, reflects Lagos.
If you look at a report regarding the EFCC in 2017, at that time, the report had stated that in 17 years, EFCC had only secured 10 high-profile convictions. I'm glad that in this particular outing, the presidency did make reference to the fact that the public feels that there's a lopsided pattern when it comes to convicting high-profile cases versus cybercrime cases. And we need to see more of a political will towards it. Because as much as the government might say that they're not shielding anybody, the narrative around it paints a different picture. The narrative around it sees important and high-profile people, some of which are alleged to have said to have jumped political allegiances just so they can get the cover of protection that one receives when they're with the ruling party. All of these allegations that continue to float around public space can only be dispelled by us seeing very quick and efficient convictions. Whether it be guilty, whether it be not guilty, these cases need to be expedited. And by now, if we compare to reports from 2017, and now almost 10 years later, we would have thought that those kinks that the fast tracking of these cases would have been ironed out. If you remember 2018, 2019, we saw convictions of former governors. We saw convictions of high-profile cases. Where are those convictions to see? So as much as we applaud some victories in other areas, we want to see those convictions. Now to the area of the judiciary. The theme of separation of powers has been a consistent theme that we've seen over years. And there have been several high-profile cases as well that have been exemplary to them. The case of Senator Natasha Duran, in essence, that was about separation of powers. How much can the judiciary get involved in what happens in the floor of the National Assembly? The state case, beyond the Supreme Court, there were the other 40 cases that were instituted challenging the case of the declaration of a state of emergency in River State. Did we see a transparent, effective, efficient judicial process? No, we did not. So I think that the judiciary still has a long way to go. We continue to hear about reform. The administration also say they've tried to give reprieve in the form of to ensure that the judicial officers, receive the necessary benefits and they're compensated commensurately for their work. However, there's still a lot of work to do. I have to applaud them for a few cases of suspensions of justices. If you remember, there was Justice Inyang who was suspended because the justice had made a ruling in a case that had not even been heard. But we want to see more of that. We're not saying that, but we want to say that the accountability needs to continue to flow around various judges so that we can also have confidence that those bad eggs within the system are also being dealt with accordingly. Now let's move over to a day of protest yesterday that saw the FCT being shut down. Reports say that the Southeast was also largely shut down. It was a quiet day, not necessarily protest, but more of a quiet day in the Southeast. Now we ask ourselves, where are we going? We continue to speak about the heavy-handedness of our police forces. And the irony is that this marks 5 years of another mega protest that had challenged the heavy-handedness of the armed forces, of the police forces. Yet here we are. Now, we understand that in a protest, the police has limits that they're supposed to follow, just the same way that protesters have limits that they're supposed to follow. Now, we saw protesters encroaching in the area that had been ruled by the court to have been off limits with regards to the protest. Was the best way to reinforce the fact that those areas were off limits, was the best way to fire bullets and to spray tear gas in the nation's capital? We ask ourselves, the rules of engagement, what governs them? When you're dealing with protesters who are unarmed, we watched it. They were unarmed. And they're now having to run for their lives, even though they're engaging in a peaceful protest. And I know the police have spoken and they've said that, well, they were encroaching in an area that was off limits. But we now say that, was that the correct use of force in that instance? Other instances here in Lagos State, we saw Yemi Ademolakum laying flowers at the toll gate. We ask ourselves, what are the laws around memorializing places? Yes, Lagos State does have the Lagos State traffic law of 2018, I believe, and there's the sanitation laws as well, which say that in some instances you can be stopped from, wanting to lay something in a busy road. But again, how was it handled? If there was an instruction that it was illegal for memorials, any memorial flowers to be laid at that location on that day, why could it not have been handled in a more civil way? These are the issues, in my opinion.
These are the issues. Thank you so much, Iman. Rufai, take on these stories.
Okay, you see, you know what aroused Nigeria's judiciary as we speak today, and the political process as regards prosecution of people that have done political offenses in this country. The words of a famous politician, which anyway he has come back to say he was quoted out of context.
Infamous.
That once you join a certain political party, your sins are forgiven. So see, we can have judiciary conferences from here to Kutuwenji, as far as I'm concerned. The people know that there's no fairness and sincerity. All of a sudden, once EFCC is threatening some people, the next thing, they join a certain political party, we don't hear EFCC again. Or they go and beg, we don't hear EFCC again. We've talked about the humanitarian minister, we've talked about the case in Rivers State, declaration of state of emergency, that the Supreme Court did not hear. But the same Supreme Court was so quick to hear a local government matter that involved some people just last year. End of last year. In about 1 or 2 months, they quickly heard that case. But how do you want the judiciary to perform properly when people are building houses for judges in this country and we are seeing it? Governors are giving largesse and cars to judges. Until we have a way to do it, that politicians don't have to hand these things over to judges, we can never have a fair judiciary. And is it not in this country we all lived in 2019 because of a wrangling as regards a Senate presidency race? The case of Koje, a nolle prosequi was declared, and the governor was let go so that the race was going to favor some people in the Senate. There were articles written about that in this state as regards Goji and nolle prosequi. So we use justice to do political baiting and political negotiations in this country. And justice is only served. The people that truly go to jail in this country are those that don't know people at the top. Once you know people at the top, your sins are forgiven. We can go on a long litany of these issues, and we know nothing will happen. Is it not in this country that even the EFCC chief himself said concerning a governor, if we don't prosecute him, If we don't prosecute him, I will resign. We are waiting for the prosecution. The case is in court. But you can see that activity is not activity in the game. So we know these people. What kind of democracy are we practicing? It's not a joke. Should we now talk about the pardon that people have eviscerated and said is a class act, a shambolic dispensation of reasoning? And afterwards, the Attorney General of the Federation, my dear Herbert, they tried to tell us what we don't know by saying that they're deciding to put it up for review. Nobody, the Attorney General has no right for any review of a pardon. That has gone. That is just set to placate Nigerians that are suffering. So what judiciary do we have? And all of us are guilty in all of this. That's why when Fela sang many years ago that that Archbishop na miliki Pope na enjoyment Imam na Balado, even the religious bodies sharing this, even the civil society sharing this. I'm sorry, Ayo. It's not where we were sitting when civil society were defending a governor with corruption charges. Wasn't the media even part of it? Is it not under Fela that the judge confessed that he was pressured? That he did nothing wrong? It's not under, during Fela's case, that a judge confirmed that he was pressured. So what country do we live in? We live in a joke. And that's why they will stifle voices. The same people that was easy for them to protest against Jonathan, protest against the military, they will stifle the voice of protest. That's why ordinary flower is not scaring them. You carried flower to honor people. Some people were pushing the flower away. It speaks volumes of the democracy we practice. That's why till today, a protest happened. Mr. Bayo Ononuga was saying that a lawyer does not have the rights, that the NBA should look at it. It's in a case in court. But when the likes of them Ganifa were on the streets, and you supported them, so the question we ask is, what changed? What democracy are we running? What democracy are we running? If it favors us, we scream. People are talking about Nnamdi Kanu, not because I support everything he did, but we are calling for fairness because in the same country, we are so seen high, so quick to pardon bandits and criminals. In fact, they will sue a bid for them under something called Operation Suluhu. When they say they want to rehabilitate them, aren't we seeing it in this country? Is it not said in this country, and people are saying that we are misplaced when we are talking about, I'm not just talking about Nnamdi Kanu, the Court of Appeal has ruled. In fact, in the case they took to the Supreme Court, it was 4-1. There was one dissenting. But who want me to dissented? And leave this man and let him be. So I'm not just talking. But it's not in the same country that we are pardoning bandits. Jailbreak is happening. Prisoners are living. Nothing is being done to them. And it's not in the same country people are taking photos with bandits. Are they not meeting communities? Why do we like to deceive? You see, the reason why Nigeria has never moved forward is because we thrive on deceit. It's a country of deceit. Leaders will deceive us, the people will deceive each other, the little data boys will deceive themselves. When people are taking their future away from them, they are still treating support of the people. So what society, what country can we build this way? It's hypocrisy. And that's why we continue to keep talking here. We will say our own to them, like they listen, they don't listen. As regards to me, I'm happy, congratulations. But Bimbai threw a very strong pump. And I will say it fully. As long as you are collecting money from France to do Miyeko, when you know you are losing your sovereignty, because that's when people will now come and say, hey, America cannot talk to us this way, our sovereignty is key, our this is key. Like Zimbabwe said, she said it in Queen's English, me I will speak it like a Yoruba man that I am. I foresee a day, we should look forward to a day where Africa capitalism. I was going to say, what's an element of Africa? That's what we should do. Afro-capitalism. That is what Tunede is challenging and is championing. And I do believe that we will come to a time where African CEOs, businessmen would actually be the solution or provide solution
for infrastructural development in Africa. And that's why, Tony Lumelu with TOE cannot stop on this is advocacy and campaign for that. I do say, though, at the moment, it's a welcome development here in Lagos State. I cited earlier on that the governor had, as part of his Things Plus agenda, and in the area where it has failed, have also come out to talk about it. That recall that this is what you have said you're going to do for Lagosians, in the second term. And so it's good to see this development. One of the legacies I would say of this administration would be in transportation infrastructure. He's talked about, he's done rail, and now we're moving to transportation. And how amazing would it be for Lagosians if, we can reduce traffic in this city, in this hub, by actually diversifying transportation in the state. A few things to note, and as already been mentioned, I heard the French partner talk about a subsidized loan for Lagosians. Can we pay back? Can Lagos pay back? I don't think it's Asovila. And so the areas that were in contention, where they gathered, had nothing to do with the court order. And then it will be Center of Excellence, the capital city of Nigeria, the commercial city of Nigeria, and not talk about infrastructural development. So on this one, definitely a pass mark for the Lagos State government and the implementing agency LASWA, who are doing this absolutely. Now let me move on to the stories from yesterday in terms of the protests in Abuja, in Lagos. Berger, Max Olopara was there, and he made some very salient points when spoken to. Number one was that the police have said that there was a court order stopping the protest. But what they said, or the protesters have said, that they did not see any court order, number one. Number two is that the restrictions as to where they could protest was limited to the National Assembly and Asovila. And so the areas that was in contention, where they gathered, had nothing to do with the court order. And then it would be important for us to actually see the court order that was gotten from the police and from the court. Also, I think it's important to talk about the selective obedience of court orders, because it's the same court order that we have championed about how Nnamdi Kanu, by a number of times, court orders, even up to the tune of awarding 1 billion naira in damages to against the Nigerian federal government, hasn't been obeyed. So why is it selective justice, selective choice of when to obey court order or when not to obey court order that is a plague of the Nigerian system? And so that's another issue he brought up, and that was very important. Something else that we must also highlight is the protocol for security agencies to manage protests and protesters in Nigeria. We talked about what happened yesterday, where tear gas was used on protesters as early as 7 a.m. Unarmed protesters, I must mention, where live bullets were shot at, whether in the air or anywhere, at protesters. What is this thing about dissenting voices and silencing dissenting voices under this administration? I say this because whether it be via protests or via even political parties, it is the silencing of any voice that opposes or dissents or is dissenting to the main party or to the government in power. And that does not augur well for democracy. We cannot have a democracy where it is only sycophancy that is the order of the day, and sycophants are the ones who have the ears of government. It does not augur well for democracy, and no administration can thrive on that. The successes we record will only last for a moment, but the results will not show. And that's why we keep talking about the government of propaganda, where we are making announcements that seem positive, but has no effect or obvious effect on the lives of the people. And so back to what happened yesterday at Lagos Tollgate with Madam Olekun, and talking about this resistance to opposition voices, or this resistance for citizens to exercise their rights, whether it be to free association, movement, or just expressing an emotional moment based on what happened 5 years ago. And so she went to the tollgate, and according to her report, and I believe that Ifemi is going to be taking this on world, Ifemi, I'll talk about that in more detail. Then she was accosted by man o' war. Because they were not armed, she was able to resist and talk back. But she said that at this point, 5 armed policemen then approached them, was not captured on camera, approached them and were asking them to leave the place. What crime or offense did they commit by going to put wreaths of flowers as a memorial at the Lagos tollgate? They were not obstructing traffic, they were not littering the streets, they were just going to place flowers on the tollgate. Why this excessive show of force under this administration? This cannot be the legacy of a man who styles himself as a Democrat. It cannot be. And going back to judicial reform, when we talk about protection of political actors, we bring up the case of Yahaya Bello. We bring up the case of a former APC chairman whose case has not yet been fully solved, despite video evidence to the contrary. I mean, a number of people heard about this story. So there are very low-hanging fruits if President Tinubu wants to demonstrate to Nigerians that he respects judiciary. And finally, one thing that was not said was judicial reform. If we want a truly independent judiciary, then money cannot come from the executive. They cannot have that much influence. He talks about better welfare for the judiciary. But as we mentioned before, in some cases, these houses and welfare that's done for the judiciary is part of making them, softer to the needs of the executive. And in some way, it's actually influencing the judiciary in a way that they would not be independent in discharging their duties. There's a lot of things to talk about, but we are not yet there. Corruption, Nigeria can be corrupt-free, absolutely, but there must be the political will and the demonstration through policies that demonstrates that Nigeria should and can be corruption-free.
Thank you for watching. You have seen it. When we talk to you, we also bring you what is happening in their own conventional media. They can no longer hide their lies. Everything is in the public. They can lie and lie and lie and lie. Lies doesn't last forever. To an extent, they can't lie anymore. That is why today we always bring what is happening in their own media. Mazen Nandekano is innocent, and we continue to be innocent. Tomorrow, we are going to expect to see in court how it is going to happen. Remember the information we got about the people that Mazen Nandekano mentioned already, that he called upon to come in his court. You saw me speak about that in my program. I announced it, and so many of us have heard that, and we saw it, that Mazen Nandekano lists ex-AGF, Malani, Wike, Chukwuburetai, and others as witnesses in terrorism trial. And that submission has been made. So tomorrow we are going to see what is going to be the outcome. And tomorrow morning we will come back here to talk about these very important issues. Thank you so much for being part of this program. Thank you for joining. I'm going to take a rest. It's been a very long day. We will see again tomorrow morning. Good night, everybody, and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Nigeria don't enter one chance, I swear, now go with the go so. Yes, men, they kill us every day for them busy, they campaign again. After they failed all the promises they made, oh, then they praise themselves. Why the masses were supposed to give them the praises we they are they run to? Who be that? I blame it on the religious leaders. I blame it on the traditional rulers. People were supposed to fight for the people, they don't compromise. Shame on the rebellious brothers. People will cry with us during answers. Today them don't join those oppressors, they eat your love. Something on the smell of. Very soon now we go perceive. We have up where this government they cause my time bomb. It go soon explode. Revolution they come. It's very close and they feel when the power of the people we triumph, the power of the people in power. They don't even care, they don't even send. Say the people they die of hunger. Hungry dog is an angry dog. One day you go bite the owner. Idle man is the devil workshop. Many youths for Nigeria no good job. And the country the youths got no future. The country is gone, that's on period. I blame it on the judiciary leaders. I blame it on the electoral officials. People were supposed to save the nation, but they collected bribe. Shame on the armed forces. People were supposed to protect the masses. One of them they shoot us anytime they hear our voice.